Hello, Tony Walker here. Got another video for you. It's that time of year again where if you look at the YouTube history, usually about when it gets close to the beginning of the year, I'll get a couple things, and then as the year progresses, I ended up selling them or trading them or whatever. And so this is something that I've been looking at for a little while. Saw one for sale on a used website, flashlight website for used items, or sometimes it's new things, but it's not a retail store, it's just people in a forum selling things. Guy had this, and something that's kind of struck my interest for a little while. Let's give you a little video about this. This is a Surefire E1L Outdoorsman. If you've watched my videos, you're probably familiar with the video for the E1L-A Outdoorsman, which is an upgraded version of this. Sold it last year, regret selling it. As a matter of fact, I just got finished posting a comment on another YouTube video, guy asking a question. Pretty much most of the Surefire lights I've had that I sold, I ended up regretting it and wish I had kept them. With the only exception, the 200 Lumen Defender, because when I sold it, I was upgrading to the 500 Lumen. So that's kind of a no-brainer. But pretty much all the others, I wish I'd kept them around. They all have their different purposes and uses, and each one's kind of a little different tool for different situations. So anyway, just want to explain that. This is the older version of the flashlight that I had last year. So that the E1L-A is probably a couple years old now. This light is going back several years old. But a guy had it for a relatively good deal, I guess you could say, for sale. I don't know if it was a returned item or what, because the box was a little bit messed up. But the flashlight itself was in good condition. So a few little specs. E1L, almost said -A, but this isn't. E1L Outdoorsman, compact dual output LED flashlight. Going to clarify something in a moment. On the box it says 45 lumen max output, 3 lumens of low output, 48 hours of useful runtime, and that's referring to the low, 48 hours on low. Flip it to the side. The 3 low for 48 hours, the 45 lumens on high for 8.5 hours. Again, that's not correct on this light, and I'll explain why in a moment. You can pause and read that if you'd like. Biggest thing I like about this light, 4 inches. Okay. Different languages, if you can read those. Okay, so the light itself. When this light, I don't remember when this light was introduced. That was years before I ever got into flashlights. But this light it's always looked like this, with the exception of the pocket clip. But when this light first came out, it did not have a KX1B head. I think, don't hold me to it, but I think it had a KX1 head, and the KX1 head was, as you see on the box, 45 lumens on high with a run time of 8.5 hours. Now, this light was upgraded, not the E1L-A, still talking about the E1L. This light was upgraded from the KX1 head to the KX1B head, and what that means, they say it still stayed 3 lumens on low, but instead of being 45 and 3, it changed from 80 to 3. I don't know if the guy who sold this had swapped some lights around and maybe Lego parts together, and this was the box he had. Probably what happened is Surefire had a bunch of these boxes printed up, and they had these lights made up, and so they're just using up boxes. And I have seen before online where people talk about them doing that. They may get a newer flashlight in an older style box, just because they figure most people aren't paying that close attention to it anyway, especially the government contracts and all that they have. So I imagine they're just, like other places, just using the box up. And sometimes you might see a box with a sticker that says new higher output or something like that. So if you are looking for one of these E1L Outdoorsmans, if you get an E1L-A, you're going to get the 90 lumens and the larger size head, 1 1/8 of an inch size head, and all the boxes are the same. But the older E1L with the 1-inch head, it could be 45 lumens, it could be 80 lumens, and I could be wrong, but I think there was even a model going back before that maybe was even, I don't know, closer to 30 lumens. Might be wrong on that, but I think I remember reading that somewhere. Okay, so the light itself. The light comes with a one-way pocket clip. That was one thing that changed to the E1L-A. They went with the bigger head, more lumens, and the two-way pocket clip. So if you get a E1L straight out of the box, like as is, it's going to come with the one-way pocket clip. So I had a spare one of these two-way pocket clips, and I put it on there. That way the light can not only be carried bezel up, like that, the light could be carried bezel down, like that. So I put that pocket clip on there. Also had a glow-in-the-dark O-ring. Well, I got the flash turned on, so that's not going to show. Not super bright. It's not going to light up across the room or anything. But if the O-ring has had a little bit of light shined on it for a little while, maybe before you go to bed, and you turn the light off and leave it sitting on your nightstand, it'll glow for maybe half hour or so. Not all that useful, but it does kind of help fill in that unsightly ring around the bottom of the head right there. You could put a black O-ring in there if you wanted to. So anyway, that's the little glow-in-the-dark O-ring I added, and the two-way pocket clip that I upgraded from the one-way pocket clip. You can see the size comparison. And I have small hands. My watch is on the next to the last thing, and I still got all that left over. So see if I got anything to put it in perspective. Here's some money. If you've got a dollar bill, just to give you an idea, that's how small it is. So that was the biggest thing I liked. This light obviously isn't the brightest light Surefire's ever made, but it is very, very small and lightweight. And the other thing I like about it is it comes on in low first and then high. Especially for my uses around the house or whatever, I really don't need a light to blast on high first. I'd rather it come in on low first, and this light does do that. So it has momentary, it has click, it also has a longer reset time. Some of the newer lights maybe have a 1 second reset. This one, if you activate it and then activate it again within a couple of seconds, it's going to change modes. So what I mean by that, low, high, 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 low, high. Okay, so give you an idea of the interface. Press for momentary, let go, turns off. Click for constant, let go is still on. If you want to get to high, you can do momentary, then click. Well, that was too fast. Okay, give it a few seconds to reset. There you go. I did mention the difference. The KX1 head would be the 45 lumens. If you find one with the KX1B head, it's going to be 80 lumens. Now with the 80 lumens, you do have a decrease in runtime. You're not going to get 80. You're not going to get 80 lumens for 8.5 hours. I think, don't hold me to it, I think it's more like 80 lumens for about 4 hours. Between 3 and 4 hours. Still good. Nowhere near as good as the almost 9 hours, but then again you are doubling from 45 lumens up to 80. For this purpose, just a little bit of buying advice. I've never seen a KX1 head in person, so this is just me talking, giving my expertise, which isn't really all that much. If you're buying this flashlight, you probably already have a flashlight that's brighter anyway. So one thing to consider, if you've already got a 300 or 5 lumen flashlight in your other pocket and you're just carrying this for a backup, would you rather have 45 lumens for 8 hours or 80 lumens for 4 hours? If you're in a situation where you need all the brightness you can get and you've got multiple flashlights, the difference between 45 and 80 ain't going to be that much if you've got a 500 lumen flashlight over here. But the extra 4 hours runtime would make a good difference. That's a lot longer runtime if you're just needing this maybe for some ambient lighting or whatever. So just something to keep in mind. Resale value, these KX1B heads do seem to be more sought after, but that's just a question you'll have to decide. And also it may come down to whichever light you can find like this, because again, Surefire doesn't make this exact model anymore. So it may just be whatever you can find on eBay at the time, or whatever you can find on Candle Power forums at the time. So that just be whatever's available at the moment you're looking. Should you get this light or the E1L-A? It just depends. Do you like the 1-inch bezel, or do you need to go from 80 lumens to 90 lumens? One difference, this is 80 lumens for about 4 hours. The E1L-A is going to be 90 lumens for, I believe, closer to 5.5 or 6 hours. So the advantage is going to go to the newer E1L-A. But this size, and if you can find a 2-way pocket clip to put on it, is going to be great for carrying around. This is an EB1, and just to give you an idea of the size of the head difference, you can see it's a little bit shorter, and when you look at the two next to each other, you can see how, see if I can get this level, you can see how much smaller the one on the right looks. And although it may not look like that much of a difference, it does, when you're carrying it around in your pocket, you can feel the difference. It's kind of like the difference between a pocket knife that is 3 inches versus one that's 3.5 inches and weighs 2 ounces compared to 4 ounces. May not look like all that much on paper, but when you're carrying it, you can feel the difference. This isn't a perfect idea, but the E1L-A is going to be more this size compared to that. So again, if that helps decide, most people who buy an Outdoorsman aren't buying it for the brightness, because they're not the brightest line of flashlights. They're made for the outdoors, and they're made to have runtime in mind, not brightness. If you're looking for brightness, go with a backup or a Defender. Looking for runtime, go with the Outdoorsman. Crenellations on this are a little bit, not sharp, but they do have a little bit of edge on them compared to the newer heads. They kind of tame down just a little bit. Just for curiosity's sake, you put an EB1 on here, it's going to be high only. EB1T head, excuse me. These EB1 heads have changed a bit. I've heard about different ones that you put it on this body and it'll act this way. You put it on that body, it'll act another way. The one I've got is just single mode only, if you put it on a clicky body. But again, that's a different idea. This isn't an EB1 video, E1L video. So, that is an E1L Outdoorsman. If you got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll be glad to answer them best I can. Be sure to check out the other videos about flashlights as well as Bibles that I've gotten into the hobby of in the last couple of years. And if you're interested in listening to the sermons, take a look at those as well. You can find that at Preacher Tony, that's 5 lumens on the left, 3 lumens on the right, and then 200 on the left and 80 on the right. So, thanks for watching. Check out the other videos, and if you're interested in the sermons, you can hear those at preachertony.com. Take care.